Hey, thanks for coming back. I got a request from a viewer to chart MNQ on a 15-minute chart using Bubblegum charts. So let's see what happens. Okay, this request is from COCHINEAL 2851. This indicator is fascinating. I'd love to see EMD or MNQ on the 15-minute time frame. Okay, well, let's do MNQ. This is the 15-minute time frame just on a normal chart. And I did change the time to New York time. So depending on where you are in the world, just know that's the time frame that we're using. And let me turn on the Bubblegum chart. Okay, this is what it looks like. I want you to notice, just kind of in a zoomed out fashion, whenever the bubble flow is above the 80 and moving sideways, the trend is super strong and you can have confidence in knowing it's time to buy. And likewise, when the indicator is below the 20 and moving down, there's selling going on. So this right here is November 6th, and we'll just go through a few days using the chart. We see our first pink candle is right here. So we look down at the bubble flow. It has crossed the 50, and it looks like it's continuing to go down. So you would take a short at the close of the candle. If you wanted a tighter stop, put it maybe above the candle before it. And this got down to a 3-to-1. So you could have taken that trade. The bubble flow remains pink, but as you can see, it's moving back up towards the 50. So what you could do is draw a trend line. If you wanted to get in short here, you could have taken a scalp. And again, if you drew a trend line, you could have taken this candle right here with a stop above the last high. And this went down to 6-to-1. Bubble flow remains pink until at this point it chops a little bit. We have a very big candle, and on this candle the bubble flow only gets to 50, which tells me I'm not ready to get in because there could be some chop. And as you can see, we went up, we chopped around, made a bull flag, and then on this candle the bubble flow continued to go up towards the 80. So I would have gotten in here with a stop at this low. And you can see we're way above the 80, moving sideways, so we have a strong trend. If you went up to this section right up here where we start getting these big wicks, that's 4.5-to-1. Then we get this dip. So you could have waited, and then bubble flow continued to go up after this pullback. If you wanted to draw your trend line to try to get a different entry or an additional entry after you got out, you could try this with a stop below that low right here, and we didn't get up that high. That's 1.5-to-1. So that's through, this section is November 10th, and then this begins November 11th. You can see bubble flow starts to lose momentum. It's chopping around the 50, and then it breaks down. which you can see right here on the chart. It's chopping pink, green, pink, and then it starts to break down. So after it broke down, like right in here, put your stop above that high. You could have gotten 2 to 1. And we're still in the 11th. This is important. Look at this chop down here. This area where it's chopping around the 50, you just want to stay out and be patient. Wait for the chop to either break up or break down. We can see that it started to break up. So we could have taken, when it started to break up, we could have taken a long anywhere in here with a tighter stop. And you would have gotten 2 to 1 here. Now we're into the 12th. You can see on this big pink candle, the BubbleFlow dropped all the way down to the 20. So that means that is a lot of selling pressure. It's not chopping around the 50, so that would be a strong candle to get into short. Gotten not quite 1 to 1 on that. And then this big green candle tells a very different story, because although it's make this as a buy, I would just wait. This is telling me it's a pop, but there's not a lot of momentum and it's just chopping around, which we can see on the BubbleFlow. And then it breaks down. So on this candle, we can see the BubbleFlow is breaking down to the 20. So I would have taken that short. And you can see the BubbleFlow is just hovering down, usually below the 20. So you could have taken profits anywhere along the way or continue to lower at least by 2 to 1, set your stop to break even, take some profits, leave some runners, and this went down to a 5 to 1 risk to reward. Then you can see the BubbleFlow is chopping between the 20 and the 50, moving sideways, and then it breaks down again. So if you wanted to draw your trend line, if you were trading whatever time this is where you're at, once it broke here, you could have taken another short. And you could have gotten, that's a 9 to 1 risk to reward. You can see the BubbleFlow is chopping around the 20, breaks below the 20. Anywhere in here, you could have taken profits. Maybe take some profits, and right here, we're on this break. Enter short again with a stop above that candle. And that got you almost a 2 to 1. Okay, we're on the 14th, and we see the BubbleFlow is moving up, our candles are moving up, and we get a green candle right here. I don't know that I would have taken this because it's not very far away from the 50, but you could have tried it. Try along with a stop below the candle, or maybe below that pink candle, and up and through here, you got 1.71, and as you move up, move your stop up. Then we see the BubbleFlow is chopping sideways but above the 80, so that means that it's strong. We're going to look for another entry. So we take our trend line from the top, and you could have gotten in right here. Move your stop up to this low right here. And we just got a 1 to 1 on that. BubbleFlow is strong. You could take re-entries anywhere or scalp this. There's another entry right there. You can see as this broke up. And then when we have this big pullback, but we still have green candles and our bubble flow is moving down, we wouldn't take any longs on this because nothing is breaking a trend line. Like if we draw our trend line like this candle right here wicked, but it didn't close above our trend line. So that is not an entry. We would need a complete break like this candle right here. If you wanted to take that, you would have gotten stopped out because you would have entered here, and I wouldn't have my stop all the way down here, maybe halfway of this candle, and these wicks would have stopped you out for a loss. And then you can see the bubble flow is chopping underneath the 80. We have a big pullback. I'd be waiting. And then we have these pink candles. We're below the 50, but we're still kind of chopping. Maybe this has to do with the time of day that the MNQ is trading, but I would wait it out. I would wait for this chop to break. So you can see there's a break right here. And I would take this candle short. And this got you 1.89 if you have your stop way up here. The bubble flow is chopping around. You can see we're moving sideways. And then after this chop right in through here, we get this big candle. So you could take in a short there with a stop above it. You would have gotten stopped out on this wick right there. You see that wick, this wick right here. If your stop was above that candle. If you had your stop farther, you could have gotten maybe a 1-to-1 on that chop. And then let's look at this big candle again. We have this huge candle moving up, but the bubble flow is just crossing the 50. I would expect if there was going to be a lot of follow through, the bubble flow should be all the way up to the 80 on such a large candle. So I would not have taken this as a long. I would have just stayed out. It went up. We have this chop. It never got above the 80, and then it starts pulling back. So all in through here is just chop, and I would just stay out, wait for the chop to end. I might have tried this candle right here with a stop below this low. And you would have gotten not very much, 0.58. And then we have a pullback. This big candle is just crossing the 50. So I would have stayed out until we got up over here to the 80, maybe on this candle. Took a long. Nice stop around there. And that got up to a 1.24. Obviously, once you start getting in profit, you can move your stop up to break even, so you have less risk. And we have a pullback. We could have waited for this break. On this big candle, we're above the 80, so I would have taken that. I would have put my stop halfway up the candle just to lessen the risk. And when this second candle closed, I would have moved my stop up to break even and kept moving my stop up. On this candle, we could have gotten a 3-to-1 risk to reward. And then we have this deep pullback, and you can see the bubble flow is moving down. So we want to stay out. We have another trend. Oh, we can do this. Trend break like this. So you can see on our trend, we have 1, 2, 3 touch points, and then we break. So we would have gotten long on this. Our bubble flow is moving up. A stop below that candle. And this is on the 19th of November. And that is a 7 to 1. You can see the bubble flow moves above the 80 and is moving sideways, which means the trend is very strong. We actually got up farther than that. 7.82. And then anywhere along here, you see how strong this trend is? It's just staying above the 80 and flattening out. Then we start getting a pullback. Let me make this give you more context. And if you wanted to get in, there was a trend right here that broke. So we have 1, 2, 3 touch points and a break. So you could have gotten long on this candle and gotten a 2.7 to 1. And then I don't know if this was news or what, but we have this huge pink candle and we're crossing the 50. So if you took a short this morning here, put your stop at above that candle, or if you wanted to do it halfway and then just move your stop down as this is dropping, you would have gotten almost a 9 to 1 risk to reward. You can see the bubble flow is deep into the 20. This market is not going back up until the bubble flow crosses over the 50. So if nothing else, this should be telling you stay out, don't buy, wait for the trend to change. So I hope this helped you. Hey, if you're a woman that trades, I would really like to interview you. I love listening to interviews, and I especially like to hear women's stories and how they got into trading. So email me if you're interested in that. If you have any other tickers you want to see the Bubblegum Chart traded on, I'm happy to do that. You can see my little kitty cat's getting right in the way this morning. All right, we'll talk to you later.